Efforts to verify copies of the original documents in the 25 million rand Nulane criminal trial have hit a snag. On Monday, the state witness, Kenosi Rabothoa Thubisi, struggled to compose himself under cross-examination. Thubisi works in the Supply Chain Management Division of the Free State Department of Agriculture. Now, he's set to resume cross-examination today when proceedings resume this morning. Let's speak to our reporter now, Erin Bates, who is following court proceedings and has been doing so since last week. Erin, good morning to you. Talk to us about the composure or perhaps the failure to compose himself. This is Mr. Thubisi on the witness stand.
Yes, morning, Xoli, from the court here in Bloemfontein, Mangaung, Court M in the Free State High Court, where we're expecting Thubisi again in the witness box today. Yesterday was a bit of a slow-motion train wreck when he underwent cross-examination from counsel for the accused in this criminal trial, and it emerged, at least on their questions to him, that he has a very poor grasp of his statement, which was written out, he says, when he met with two Hawks officials in 2021, and was presented with some documents from the department he said he had sight of in 2012 when certain payments were made and paperwork was processed. But Thubisi really showing weaknesses in his own grasp of what he says in his statement he did over a decade ago. And so he's going to be under scrutiny again this morning. At some point yesterday, he said he was panicking. He raised his hand to address Acting Judge Nompumelelo Gusha directly, and then through a translator asked if he could go home and rest up to be back here this morning at 9:30.
Yeah, and the defense unrelenting. The understanding is that they've made some claims against the state about the possible coaching of this witness.
Yes, Xoli, that's right. And as I said yesterday, we have some pretty heavy hitters when it comes to defense attorneys and silks here in the High Court. Fairly gentle, you could say, with Thubisi, but he really struggled to retain any kind of composure during cross-examination. And it seems, again, as we've seen with other witnesses, that the angle that some counsel expect to and plan to take is to really scrutinize the conduct of Amandla Mtolo, that Mr. Mtolo from the Hawks I've mentioned in reporting on this from last week already, and allegations of grooming witnesses, of pruning and shaping their statements to a point where weaknesses are manifest when those very witnesses are before the court in examination, cross-examination and re-examination. And this really exposes potential weaknesses in the state's case. Bear in mind, Xoli, the indictment from the NPA's ID signed off by then head advocate Hermione Cronje in September of 2021 mentions the Gupta brothers at length, mentions a bevy of alleged associates around the world. And so this is easily the weakest witness we've seen so far, and it certainly doesn't bode well, not only for Mr. Thubisi, but for some of the state's preparations in this case.
Yeah, and Erin, if we are to look ahead to another set of witnesses, could Mr. Thubisi be seen perhaps as one of the weakest witnesses for the state? What might we expect then to come?
Well, certainly so far of the 6 witnesses we've had called by the state, Thubisi has fared the worst in court. He has himself noted his anxiety. He said to Gusha yesterday that he was shaking from the moment he got into court in order to undergo testimony, cross-examination and the like. And it may really jeopardize his mention of certain key documents. Xoli, these are documents from March of 2012. They recall or refer to sundry payments, an amount of 5 million rand Thubisi remembers from that time, but was then reduced to 4 million rand, and an invoice for Nulane Investments, that was sent through to the Free State government over this feasibility study. Of course, we're still waiting for evidence from the likes of Deloitte, other government officials, and indeed the Hawks, but from what we've already seen in cross-examination, it's clear that Mtolo is going to face an onslaught of scrutiny, some hot and pointed questioning from counsel here for the accused. You can see behind me, in fact, that some of the accused are making their way into court. We've got Ronica Raghavan, of course, known to be with the Oak Bay Investments, and Dinesh Patel is already here with Advocate Kenny Oldwage. And Thubisi, Xoli, actually got confused between the CFO and the head of department. Who did he hand critical documents to in March 2012? So, of course, Saipati Dlamini, former CFO, and then we've got Dr. Limakatso Morosi, former head of department. I got them confused too on air, but lucky for me, I'm not under oath on the witness stand talking about what I did in my work for the Free State government. Thubisi is, and he'll be doing that again this morning from 9:30 in this very court.
Erin Bates, thank you very much for that update live for us in the Bloemfontein High Court there.